The humble sill flashing, the most underrated flashing there is, because once this window is installed, you're not going to see the flashing. Once the siding's on, once the trim's on, it's completely hidden. You do not know it's there. In this case, we've got 12-inch zip tape running inboard to outboard. We've got stretch in the corners. We've got our offcuts from our zip sheathing wrapping around the inside, and the seam tape. And this is a wonderful mock-up. This is going to be the details we're going to be using on the rest of the house. You can see we have a sloped sill. We have a back dam. So once the window's installed, any water that gets through the window or behind the window, it can't come in. It's going to drain down into this pan. Even with a wind assist, the water's going to hit the back dam and be stopped. Any water that ends up here from gravity can flow down, out, and away. It's just going to ensure that this building is durable and functional for a very, very long time. And someday, when this window needs to be replaced, yes, the flashing may have to be redone, but the structure is still going to be sound. And that's the key element. If we protect the structure, we can change the stuff that goes out of style or goes out of fashion. Somebody wants a new window, wonderful. The exterior wall, the insulation, everything that's contained in that is still beautiful. This is where flashings are so important, and I'm sorry to say it, but this is the one that I see missed probably the most. We're basically using the second layer of our cross-laminated Advantech subfloor to create the sill pan. And yes, I still have to roll the tape, but I'm using this tuck to make sure that I get this back dam in place correctly for the door to sit on. And more important than anything else, the printing is right side up, because we all know that the printing being right side up is more important than the actual details themselves. This stuff is incredibly sticky, and sometimes I get into trouble when I'm working with it because I try and go too fast, but it's also forgiving. You can reposition it. You just have to watch when you reposition it that you don't overstretch it. This can stretch an incredibly long ways, but you don't want to thin the material to the point where it could break. Now, I'm just gonna that out there just to keep that. It's the only problem I have with release paper. Now, I've got a lot of stuff happening in this corner, so I don't want to overstretch it. And as soon as I find my tuck, I can start working our way in. Yes, I have to roll the tape, but again, it gives me the opportunity to reposition and smooth that out. We've got our sill pan in place. This is a detail again I've borrowed from Steve Basic. Got our cross-laminated Advantech. First layer down one direction, second layer down perpendicular. We hold it short of the door, creates our pan. Got 12-inch zip flashing tape rolled up in, creates our end dam. Any water gets into this doorway, it's not going to be able to go indoors. It's going to be stuck in the pan and forced out. Got the zip in the corners, and then we're going to continue flashing the rest of the opening. We used liquid flash here because liquid flash allowed us to move forward on this project. Because of some of the weather we've had while we're trying to get these windows installed, We had a few foggy, damp mornings, and we were able to continue flashing openings with liquid flash because liquid flash doesn't care if the surface is a little damp. You can't have standing water, but a little dampness actually speeds up the cure time on this liquid flash. So in my marine coastal environment, it's one of the reasons that I favor liquid flash, because a damp, dewy, foggy morning, I can continue, I can prep all my openings for later in the day. So again, any water gets in here, it's going to be forced down, out, and away. I really have zero concerns about this window opening. Monolithic liquid flash is probably one of the most waterproof flashing details you can do because it is uniform. There's no joints, there's no corners to detail, it's just one continuous membrane. We haven't really had time to document all the different flashing details on this project. We were in a little bit of a time crunch to get these installed, but this is one of the great details that we have on this project. So we've got our zip system stretch tape underneath here, which creates an excellent sill flashing. So this door, our waterproof protection, basically what's going to prevent the structure from rotting, is the zip system. We've got our York flash vent. This is just cheap insurance. If for some reason water gets through this door, whether it's a failure in the door, you know, bird strike, a seal lets go, the York flash vent will allow water that happens to get underneath this to migrate out. More goes to less. We're gonna hide this in our rain screen, and if for some reason there's water underneath here, it's gonna wick and drain out. And we'll have to hop inside to check out the pan details. Here, what you see here is a York flashing, stainless steel self-adhesive flashing. Now, it doesn't go all the way through, so there is no thermal bridge. It ends here. Over in the corner, we have an end dam, but because it's self-adhering, it is bonded to that zip stretch tape, and it just completes the pan. So if any water somehow gets through this sill, something happens, the door lets water in, it's going to be stuck in that pan. It's going to have to drain out. You can see over here a little bit more clearly, we've got our stretch tape in place. That continues all the way out. That is our sill flashing. Again, you've got the York steel here, nice end dam. Any water gets down through the bottom of this window for whatever reason, it's going to be forced down, out, and away. We're installing Siga 230 gray. This is part of the Fentrim lineup. And I'll get to the end here, and I'll flip it here for you. So it's a split paper. We've got a section that's got adhesive on it, and actually I'll grab the roll. It comes off the roll that way, pre-folded, pre-creased. So all in all, a great product for a situation like this. Now, this isn't a common detail for us locally, but this is fairly common to see in Europe. We've got a European window. This is a salamander window from Germany, and obviously there's no flange, and we've installed it outboard. So we're using the 230 and just bonding to the side of the jamb, or the frame, if you will. And we're going to come along here and just cut it about an 1/8 inch or 3/16 out of the corner. Wrap that down. Go along and start getting the release paper off of this side. Pressure sensitive tape. You always want to have a squeegee handy, but works very well. We're able to tuck it up underneath the frame and leave the release paper on this side, and that created a wind skirt. Just coming in extremely handy on this project. Now, mind you, this is the first job that we've had with European style windows. Typically we do install flanged windows. So I guess also our first opportunity on a whole project to use all of the Fentrim products. And yes, Siga Fentrim is compatible with zip tape. With the pre-folded or pre-creased flashing tape, this is the answer for this type of situation. And apparently that paper will stay on there for a very, very long time. I did check with Siga on that. We've got to tuck that up or trim that back. But anyways, once the siding and the J trim goes on here, you're never going to see that anyways.
Hey, Mr. Blomquist.
Yeah, what up?
I see you're wearing that new Flash Me shirt.
Yeah, well, since today's a holiday and there's no school, I just figured I'd wear the shirt today. I really just had to run in and grab my laptop here real quick.
So today is a holiday.
It's International Flashing Awareness Day Eve.
Eve.
Yeah, Eve.
So it's not today.
No, it's tomorrow. Think of it kind of like Christmas Eve, except tomorrow, instead of opening presents, you just sit around and drink beer infused with maple syrup, talking about awesome flashing details and reminiscing on experiences when people didn't flash properly.
Okay, I love it. Sounds great, but today is still Friday and you still have to teach. We do have school today.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive we have to teach today. And another thing, Mr. Blomquist.
Yeah.
Change the shirt. We don't want any confusion like last year of what the students think the shirt actually means.
Yo, Broomy, brah! I know, you like my shirts. Oh, I'll go change.